Hello and good afternoon. My name is Caleb Walter, and today we will be talking very briefly about covert channels as well as network-based covert channels. Now, for those of you who don't know, covert channels are avenues or paths of communication between two systems, whether it be software, hardware, or network in this case, that allow the communication of various types of data between two or more parties that isn't supposed to be there. Now, what this means is that, say, you take a TCP header and change it very slightly to create a gap or an anomaly in the header itself that you can use to pass data to a knowing party who is expecting such an anomaly and thus receive that as a message or as a piece of data. Now, what makes covert channels so dangerous is the fact that they technically aren't doing anything wrong. Now, what this means is your firewall or antivirus software of choice is going to have a very hard, if not impossible, time detecting these channels and picking up on any dangerous or malicious activity taking place within them. Now, this is because covert channels only take advantage of features, aka bugs, of software and hardware that comes along with the standard package that doesn't actually modify it at all. Now, in terms of network-based covert channels, these covert channels are based upon passing malicious or malformed traffic over a network in an attempt to basically communicate a message with a third party. Now, one of the most common, uh, I guess you could say, one of the most common methods of this is, as I mentioned earlier, modifying a TCP header to display, bits that shouldn't be there. Um, when a TCP packet is sent over a network, um, the header and the packet contents itself contain various bits of information, such as timestamp, destination port, source IP, destination IP, and all this information makes sure that the TCP packet gets to where it needs to go. However, these packets can be modified almost at a very base level by anyone who wishes to send them. Now, how this covert channel works is that you take the TCP timestamp in the header and just modify it slightly so that there's a delay between when the TCP packet gets pushed out and when the TCP packet actually says when it gets pushed out. Now, since TCP timestamps are based completely on internal timings on the host, we can rewrite the timestamp and choose the value of the low bit in the header. One of the other more popular, I guess you could say, network-based covert channels is messaging over IPv6 packets. Now, how this works is that you take advantage of the Advanced Socket API for IPv6 and modify the first 16 bits of each extension header to basically modify the highest order 2 bits of all of its options. Um, Now, one of the most sought after and sort of wanted features for a network is to be able to create these covert channels in a way that makes them hard to detect. Because one of the, I guess, downsides of using a covert channel is the fact that it has a very low signal to noise ratio, and that means that you can't pass too much traffic and too much communication over your data without causing a lot of noise. And this noise can be seen by, any watchful network admin or person in the know who's looking for such things. One of the proposed ways of handling this is using a protocol or tool called Mimic. And Mimic is Mimic was introduced by Kush Kuthari in the University of Texas a couple years ago, and it's basically a tool that evades detection through network covert channels by mimicking the traffic patterns and the regularity patterns to make it so that the data you're sending, such as misinformed or mismade TCP or UDP packets, and have them mesh as close as they can with the actual traffic style and amount of the network you're on. Another way to pass, say, make a covert channel on a network that isn't so detectable is a network covert channel based on CLAC. And what CLAC is, it's basically encoding covert messages into the TCP acknowledgement packets that are made whenever you make a new connection with another host, or just make a new connection on a port. Because as most of us know, if you're watching this video and have actual interest, is that whenever a TCP connection or a standard TCP connection is made with a new host, the handshake happens where you have your acknowledgement packets, your TCP three-way handshake. And what this does is that whenever the TCP acknowledgement packet is sent, it encodes embedded information and partial acknowledgments of the TCP data channel and uses the data it gets back as a confirmation. So a CLAC encoder, all it needs to do is receive data and send actual acknowledgments, such as retrieving documents from, I don't know, you're downloading something from somebody's FTP, or you're just browsing websites. It allows the covert message you wish to be written inside the acknowledgement field. Now, detecting covert channels is a little harder than making them in most cases. One of the best ways for detecting these is to either use a deep packet inspection tool that will actually dig into the real meat and potatoes of your packets as they travel across your network, or to use a weighting system that basically takes all suspicious packet traffic and analyzes it against all the statistical average or the variance of your traffic. So, because as I explained earlier, covert channels tend to have a very high noise to information ratio, where any covert channel you send tends to create a lot of anomalous signals. So detecting on a weight-based or a weight-based score for your packets will allow you to recognize any traffic that is out of the ordinary. Using a deep packet inspection tool like Dell SonicWall, for example, you can place it on your network, and any packet traffic that goes into or comes out of your network can be deeply inspected and verified so that what's being sent is actually what's being sent. So covert channels these days have gotten a little bit of a rough patch, as more ways to pass information through actual various means or legitimate channel exploitation occurs. They haven't gotten a lot of spotlight. Now, hopefully this will, well, hopefully for some people, this may change in the future, and once again, secret telecommunications can take place between groups.